like to bring the Ways and Means meeting to order, August 1st at about 4:03 p.m. Deanne, will you take the roll, please? Yes.
Duranczyk.
Here.
Krieger.
Yes.
Begic.
Here.
Coonan.
Here.
Ryder.
Here.
Dirk.
Yes.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Before you have the minutes of 6/6/17, what is your pleasure?
Move to receive. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. At this time, we have public input. Those wishing to come before the committee and expound on anything can do that. I see they're rushing. Seeing none, we'll move on to petitions and communications. Under A, we have the probate judge, 2017-2018 Child Care Fund Annual Plan and Budget. And here she comes.
Good afternoon. Hi, gentlemen, ladies. Well, everybody is well aware of our child care fund issues. And this year, we have proposed to you obviously the county is on one year and the state of Michigan is on, a different year, which is convenient. And so we have submitted to you for your approval our budget and proposal for the expenditures for our child care fund. One of the questions that was given to us by Chairman Lutz, if you will, was it looks like it went down a little bit. And as you know, last year, I believe in 2016, maybe in 2015, my predecessor had to come before the board and ask for more money. One of the things that greatly impacted the child care fund, and we aren't the only county, as you know, and I think with your professional connections, that are having difficulties with this system. It has been arduous at best. My deputy court administrator, along with Mr. Mead, Kim Mead, our court administrator, who's here too, have been going through some extensive training to figure out sort of the answers to the quiz, to figure out what's the best way to submit our reimbursements, how do we challenge, if you will, the determinations for our 4E funding, which we are becoming very hyper vigilant in doing. So I want to make sure that I think under our new administration that we are going to attempt to leave no stone unturned to recapture our money, because quite frankly it's my money too, and if we have to pay partial payment of these bills for reimbursement, we need to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So as a result of that, one of the things that happened, as I understand it, is that we had last year, or maybe the year before, we had a survey or a commission for Maximus, which was the indirect costs. And that, of course, was done, as I understand it. A lot of money was paid to figure out what our indirect costs were. Those were submitted to the state in January, and now they have said, okay, we're going to do away with that. We're just going to give you 10%. So somebody someplace, we did this study, which was paid for, and it went through for our purpose. But now what the state has done, they have updated their child care fund handbook, apparently, if anybody can read it. And then what they have done is that they have stated to us that the indirect costs will now only be an allotment equal to 10%. So apparently that's the total adjusted expenditures in regards to the budget. So that's why we believe that the budget is reflecting for a downward estimate. My Deputy Court Administrator could not be here today. Her spouse is having some surgery, so she would have been here otherwise. She is the person who drafted this budget for you. She has looked back at 2016 and tried to estimate what our costs would be for 2017, which is, of course, as you know what a budget is, it's kind of a best guess. I have had a request to look back at our history, maybe over the last 5 years, and to present that to the board so that you can know where our numbers were, so that we are hopefully where we're going. The question is, will we need more? And I would like to tell you, no. But the problem becomes, I can't guess. I can't guess what's going to come before the court. I can't guess where we're going to be placing children. I can't guess if they're going to be eligible for 4E funding. I can't guess if they're going to be 100% county funded. That will all directly impact this budget. But what I can tell you is that we are going to make every effort to make sure that they are 4E eligible, continue working with placement parents so that placement can return quicker and safely for children to go back to their parents, so we don't have to pay for care, and it's safely done, so that will lower hopefully our costs ultimately. However, so I don't, while we're concerned about the dollars that we spend, I also am more concerned about the safety of the children that come before the court. So we will place them where they need to be placed regardless, but keeping in mind that we will try very hard to make sure that they are in fact eligible for the 4E funding if possible. We are challenging determinations that are made by the Department of Health and Human Services. When they do make those determinations, I'm asking our guardian ad litems to challenge those decisions through our administrative process, so that we can, in fact, have them, the children become eligible. We're not just taking that at face value. That's kind of an administrative internal process that we're doing, so that we can hopefully get more children funded that way, so that you know what we're doing. The other thing I'd like to know, sort of on a happier note, if you will, see here, gotta put on my cheater glasses. One of the things that happens, and so it's sort of procedurally, and I'm learning this maybe with you at this sort of the same time with the new job, that the reports that Kimberly Hetzel does, our Deputy Court Administrator, are generated and submitted by the probate court each month for the prior month to recoup 1/2 of our expenses for the child care fund placement for neglected and abused children and a few delinquents. So that's the process. So that's the idea of the process. So that when the end of the month comes, which we are here now, we now have 2 weeks into August in which to submit our request timely. In February of this year, we realized that, this is when Kimberly started, she started at the end of February, we realized that the last monthly submission report wasn't done, the last time it was done was in September of 2016. So that's when she came on board. The monthly request for the money had not been submitted for some time. To date, we have submitted we are up to date totally through the monthly reports, and we have recouped money from October of 2016 through June of 2017, and the amount of $971,000. So that's the money that has come back directly to the county. I had Ms. Hetzel go back and scrutinize some of the prior billings, and we discovered some, as you will, sometimes an error, and we were able to recoup even more monies from prior filings of $47,000. In addition, we're in an appeal process with some additional funds that were through the state, and then some additional litigation to recoup money. So I want you to know and realize that I take this incredibly seriously, and we are trying our hardest. We are up to date, so hopefully we'll be able to continue to be able to recoup the county's money now on a monthly basis. So does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. Well, 2 things. One, I am certainly pleased that you're at the head of that ship and you're guiding it through and making sure that we get every dollar that we deserve. Secondly, my question is for the children that are being placed and then returned back to their parents at some point.
Yes.
Like other issues that we deal in the courts, the recidivism of those kids, are we in a positive mode or more staying home than coming back into the system and then having to be, I guess I'll use the term, a burden on taxpayer dollars, but I'm just curious on are we being successful in working with the parents to ensure that when the kids do come back, things are better?
I think we have 2 sort of answers to that question. Thank you for your compliment. And secondly, we very rarely place delinquent children. We have a few delinquent children that we place. So when you're talking about sort of criminality and recidivism, that would be sort of in that area. If they have conducted crimes, they are no longer able to benefit from community service, then we have to look at placing a child, last-ditch effort, in some sort of a placement facility, like Glen Mills or Lakeside. Those are some of our larger placements. Most of the money that's being spent here are for foster care placement.
Okay.
They're to reimburse foster care parents and to reimburse placement facilities for abused and neglected youth. So
my
the kids
question-
didn't do anything wrong.
Correct.
It's the parents.
So my question is, dealing with these foster kids
Yes.
who, no fault of theirs, was put into a bad situation. So before they go back to the parents, who I hope have been educated, I would like to know how many of those, if we have 100 that go back, do those 100 stay there forever, or do they end up coming back because the parents didn't get it?
I don't know the answer.
Okay.
We have seen some parents repetitioned in. Some, as you know, it's a big system, fall through the cracks, and some are successful. But to know what our true family recidivism is, I don't know.
Maybe someday in the future, once we have
We
a
could do
good
that.
flow of cash coming back, we could look at those numbers. 'Cause if we don't know what it is, maybe what we're doing isn't the right thing with the parents, and something needs to be changed.
You're preaching to the choir.
All right.
There are more ways to do that. But speaking of which, that's a nice segue. If, we're always looking for more foster families, and we're desperate for families to help and mentor teenagers. That's my biggest issue. Our biggest issue is, it's very difficult sometimes to take abused and neglected, traumatized teenagers into your homes. And those often are the children that are placed in facilities because they're hard to place, and we're out of foster care homes. We could desperately use more foster care homes. So if anybody here or anybody knows of anybody who'd be willing to take that leap of faith, let me know.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kuhn.
Well, thank you, Jen. You just answered, I had a follow-up question to Ernie on these kids. What type of mentoring is there? And it sounds like you do have a program in place.
We do. We have it's actually through the Department of Health and Human Services, it's Health and Human Services now. It's called MYOI, it's Michigan Youth Initiative, and it's for our older children. And they go twice a month, they get paid, they set up bank accounts, they learn life skills, they get to do fun stuff. They're taught to go shopping. They're taught some of those, life sort of expectations. And they are mentored through other people in our community, through our DHS, through our program. And every child, teenager is eligible to participate in that program.
I had a question going back to indirect costs. And
Yes.
Maximus established what an indirect cost for a particular year was.
Right,
And now the state's going to give you 10% of your total budget.
apparently.
Okay, now, how does that compare? I mean, do you know?
I don't. And I don't know where they came from 10% and why they asked us to do all that work.
You know what 10% of our budget is?
A lot.
How does that compare to what Maximus was charging?
I don't know.
Maybe at some point we can.
Okay.
Because that would be what somebody would need to know for budgeting purposes.
It's less. It's less
The
than.
10% 's
Yeah,
less?
when we did the court indirect cost plan, it was just for the courts, and we actually recouped more money than they were paying in our total county-wide indirect cost plan
So we're getting more than from the state, that 10%.
this year, but then they didn't like it once they seen it, and so they said, nope, we're not gonna take that court indirect cost anymore, and neither are we gonna take the county's indirect cost plan. We are gonna give you a flat 10% of your budget, which is less money for the state on their side, giving it to us.
There you
So
go.
they're saving
Thanks,
money.
Jan.
They're saving money by doing
And
it.
it's actually,
Yeah, so it hurts us to that effect.
Thanks, Jan, I appreciate it, and thanks for working with Kimberly, I appreciate it. So, that's kind of one of the big changes, but in the question, like, as Mr. Chairman Lutz asked, will we be back? I hope so. It's always nice to come before the board.
We have a couple more. Commissioner Goodyear.
Yeah, Michigan Association of Counties, this is a high priority item, and it has been for the last couple of years to work on this project to get the right reimbursement and the right setting. The other part was the reimbursements were coming back slow the last year or so, so that's another thing they're working on, is trying to get the state to, in a timely manner, because otherwise we gotta pay it up front and you don't get the money, so they're working hard.
Well, I can tell you that the reimbursement process will not be slow on my side. If it's slow in the state, I can only do move so many mountains, but it's not going to be slow on my side. One of the things that Kimberly was able to do when we came in, Ms. Hetzel and I sat down, and that was our number one priority, was to figure out, obviously, what was happening with our 4E, as I call it, or our 207 budget, all these numbers. And one of the things sometimes the squeaky wheel gets more oil, right? Is that how that works? And so she was able to negotiate with her contact through the state a 5-day turnaround versus a 2-week. What was happening, which was very frustrating, was every time if you submitted your forms and there was an error, we would get a telephone call or an email that said, on page 5 you have an error. Okay, well then apparently that reset the 2-week clock. And then they would call and say, oh, you also have an error on page 7. Set the 2-week clock. So, our frustration was, when you review the paperwork, if you've got 10 problems, call me with all 10. And so that was one of the bigger issues, and the 2-week turnaround. So it took us months to finally, recoup some of our larger expenditures because of that sort of issue. So finally, we were able to enlist the help of finance has been terrific. To be able to enlist that communication with Ms. LaPrairie has been terrific, to get the state to say, okay, we're going to have a 5-day turnaround. And so that's actually been honored, and we've been able to try to get that money back quickly. So we're caught up to date. So we will be submitting within the next 2 weeks July's bills. So we now just have to wait for the state to cut the check. Check's in the mail. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The county funds 50% of the cost of a position at DHS, that is for going in on families that are about like this, just about ready to lose their children, and they go in and they work right in the home to teach them life skills.
Correct, right.
How is that program working?
I have utilized it from my end, from the court's end, a couple of times. I have used it in guardianship so that we don't have to remove children situations or to help stabilize a family. I have talked with the supervisor, Mark Jordan, and he seems to indicate that that program's going well. It's a homekeeper type of program. And he seems to indicate that that program's going well. I have not directly met that person yet. I'm actually meeting with the supervisors from DHHS tomorrow. So that's part of my agenda, is how that program is going. We have tried to have quarterly meetings. We haven't been so lucky, so it's every 6 months so far. So, but we will be addressing that tomorrow.
Anyone else? I'm really happy, that Ernie brought it up, but I think he was speaking for all of us commissioners here that are very pleased with the job you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been interesting. It's quite a interesting process to learn. So I appreciate your patience. There will be bumps. I'm not perfect, but we're definitely making it a priority. And I think that, if anything, I can leave you with here today that it is a priority for us in our office. So thank you. I appreciate it. Any questions?
I think Jim had something.
I just had a comment, Judge. Wanted to echo the sentiments of the commission and the chair in terms of the confidence we have in the great job that you've done. You hit the ground running after your election. And I know Chairman Herrick and I have been over to the court complex on several occasions, and it was great sitting down in your chambers and exchanging information. It's helpful for us to know what's going on in the courts, especially myself and the commission. And we appreciate the time you spend and the conscientious way that you've approached your responsibilities as probate judge.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think forming that bridge is huge. It really is. And I learned that, especially when I was working over here for Ms. Fitzhugh, that it was definitely a gap, and I'm glad that we're attempting to bridge that. So anytime, you're welcome. Come on over. I have really bad coffee, so you can help yourself to it. So any more questions or anything?
Really bad coffee. I don't think we do.
All right.
I know we got the discussion ahead of that, so I guess at this point we'll have a motion.
Support.
We have a motion and support. And with that, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Chairman Lutz, if it's all right, may I please be excused to go back to work?
Yes, you can.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, next is the court administrator, extension of U.S. Department of Justice grant.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under C, we have the replacement of 2 treadmills.
So moved. Support.
We have a motion and support. We want to be healthy. Commissioner Krieger.
My question is, are we tracking the amount of usage going on at the community center using this equipment?
We're tracking the people coming in the door, but we're not tracking, how much use is on each specific treadmill.
But would you say that the attendance or the drive to have better health, which maybe the cost for the equipment being worn out is up? Are more people using it?
We do have a fair amount of people using it. Treadmills are their biggest, they're the thing that people use the most over there, especially because a lot of our usage comes from our retirees. They seem to very much like the community center weight room, and so our numbers could go up. We have room for more people, but they've been pretty good.
That's what I'm hoping. Back when we first ventured into putting that equipment in there, I was a little apprehensive on whether or not individuals would come to the community center and use it. But, you know, it's been a number of years since that's been put into place, and I'm glad to see that in the budgets you guys are putting out there for additional equipment as time goes on to replace them.
Right, and I guess one as a reminder, when we made the fitness centers, we bought a lot of used equipment.
Yep.
So even though we may have only had our fitness center for a handful of years, the equipment is older than that. So, so we only replace them when they absolutely need to. We don't replace
So
for any
like
other
old
reason,
equipment
so.
with old bodies, I get it. Thank you.
They don't have to work half as much. I think Commissioner Coonan.
Kristen, did we ever get a POS system that we can track people that come in with memberships? And that's one way of managing or seeing exactly where our numbers are in relationship to memberships.
We are about 75% the way through the software search. One of the hindrances in finding the right software is not every software does access control, which we find that we need because we don't have, not at the community center or at the Civic Arena, we don't have a person who sits outside of the doors to check people in. So we want them to have a swipe card that's going to unlock the door. So we've narrowed it down to one software that has that access control and everything else we need. We just have to go through all the steps to get there. So it is in the budget this year, and so I anticipate having it by the end of this year, if not the beginning of next.
And then I would be willing to bet that since we started this, that we're probably generating enough dollars that we weren't generating before to pay for this $4,000. But that's a good thing.
Commissioner Regan.
Just wondered if it was the treadmill toward the front or the treadmills toward the back, because I know the treadmills to the front get used a lot, because I'm in there and there's always somebody on those treadmills. Ones in that back room don't seem to be used quite as much.
Correct. It is, both treadmills are from the front room, and the reason they're separated is because the treadmills in the back were paid for by wellness dollars, and they can't be used for the general population. And that's why it's a very complicated story, but that's why they're separated, and most people like to work out in a big room, so. And we're not allowed to just swap them out.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Seeing none? All in favor? All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next, we have the Bay Area Community Foundation Fall 2017 Grant Applications.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under D, we have the Housing Director, Republic Services contract.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Commissioner Krieger.
Thank you. So does, I guess it's you and I again, does Republic furnish us with recyclables?
Frances is here and she can help with this question, but Republic, the contract that we have for the county, all county sites outside of Center Ridge Arms does, yes. So all of our recycling that happens in all of our other facilities has recyclable and trash. Now, it's my understanding that Center Ridge Arms is not in that contract, so I can't speak to the recycling.
Okay, so my question is, with Republic, the stuff that they're picking, does it go to Saginaw, do we know, or does it go to White Feather and Pinconning? Or do they go both ways, do we know? Go ahead.
I looked into, are you asking for where the trash goes?
Yes.
The
Recyclables, I mean,
I know that the recyclables go downstate somewhere.
okay.
I can't tell you what town. I had asked in the beginning when we were working on this contract, and I asked a whole bunch of questions about how it goes, and, you know, because it's all in the same container, right? Paper and plastic, and it all gets put in the same container. So how does that work? I don't remember exactly what facility it was, but it was downstate somewhere.
My understanding is with some of these companies that pick up, that if you look at the fine print in their contract, they don't always take these recyclables to a place. Sometimes it gets mixed with the regular garbage that goes into the landfill. And it's based on what these products are going for. You know, paper may be really inexpensive and they don't make any money recycling it, so they make a choice of not going downstate with it, and that it actually goes to, let's say, like White Feather, where they don't do any recyclables. So I would like somebody to look in to see with our other contracts where we're picking up our recyclables, are they indeed sometimes going downstate, or are they actually being dumped with the rest of the garbage in a landfill?
Don't think that they're being dumped into the landfill, but I can review the contract.
That'd be great. Because I know, like in Bangor Township, looking at their contract in that fine print, a guy might be picking up plastics and glass and whatnot, but if they're not getting a profit off of that, they may choose not to take it back to Saginaw, which is where Waste Management does those recyclables. It may end up indeed going to White Feather, which
I
some
don't
people...
think that's the case, but I will look into it.
Sounds great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next is the Personnel Director's tuition reimbursement for Craig Gillette.
Motion to receive.
Support?
We have motion and support, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under F, we have the Payables, General BAYANET, Center Ridge Arms.
So moved.
Support.
We have motion and support, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under G, we have budget adjustments, Victim Crime Rights and Department of Aging. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under 2, we have the general equity. Motion to receive would be in order.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under 3, we have Executive Directive 2007-11. Motion to receive would be in order.
So, support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Under 4, we have the purchasing agent, the elevator maintenance agreement.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carried. I don't believe we have any referrals. Do we have any unfinished business? We don't have any unfinished business. Then under new business, all of you got the sheriff's request for the grant, for the 416 grant.
So
I'd like-
moved.
Support?
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Then I don't think we need a closed session.
We do not, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any miscellaneous? Commissioner Krieger.
Well, it could be under miscellaneous or announcements. Last month, we had an individual from the Killarney Beach area come in with concerns of added areas to be used for hunting and trapping in the Etobicoke Marsh. And we, as a group, sent a letter not in support of that effort. There's been correspondence back and forth with the DNR, and it is in my opinion that they are still looking to go forward with the added spaces. The individuals in Bangor Township that go out into these areas, whether it be hiking or biking or whatever, are still upset with some of the direction the DNR are going. So next Monday at the Visitor Center at the Bay City State Recreation Area, the DNR will be having a meeting that starts at 6 o'clock and goes till 7:30. And that meeting's there to address concerns from the residents or individuals that come to that park. So I would encourage people that are out there that might have a concern one way or another. It would be a good opportunity in a public forum to let the DNR know what position they're taking. So again, it's next Monday, the Visitor Center at 6 o'clock. So I hope we'll have a full house. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any announcements?
I got one.
Here, sir.
I gotta find it here. Okay, Saturday, August 5th, Scrap Tire Drive at Fraser Township Hall. Mosquito Control is putting this on, so you can bring up to 10 tires. They don't want no commercial businesses there. They don't want no tractor tires, and you need an ID. So if you're coming from Saginaw County, it's not going to work. So we want Bay County residents. Fraser Township Hall is on Mackinac Road, 1474 North Mackinac. So this Saturday from 9 to 2.
And the tires have to be off the rim.
Tires off the rim. That's the other thing. Yeah. Tires off the rims.
So that's open to anybody within Bay County?
Yes, with proper ID.
Right.
Very important.
Not just Fraser Township, but everybody in the
Whole
county.
county. Countywide mosquito control. We'll never get rid of them. They're starting to come out now. I felt them last night.
Anyone else?
This evening, 7 o'clock, Drain Commission, Drain Commissioner Fraser Hall meeting, 7 o'clock. We're going to have a discussion with some concerned citizens in my district and other places about the status of some of our drains and stuff. So it should be an interesting meeting.
Yes, you probably will. Anyone else?
Yes, I'd just like to say that yesterday I had the opportunity to be invited to the dedication or grand opening of the new Dow Global headquarters in Midland. And Director of Environmental Affairs and Community Development, Laura Ogar, and I attended on behalf of Bay County. And afterward, we were really appreciative to be involved in the event at the former Dow Corning facility, which is now just Dow. And Andrew Liveris and his team announced a $100 million expansion for research and development addition to the current facility. So the groundbreaking occurred yesterday, and they assume that if everything stays on track, they should be having a ribbon cutting in about 18 months. So I think that's good news for Bay County regionally, because there'll be 500 employees housed in the global office, or global headquarters, and I think about 250, I think, at the expansion for research and development. So that will anchor Dow's, world global headquarters and operations right here in Midland and also a nice addition to Bay County. So just thought I'd announce it. I know it's been in the press, but it was a great turnout, a lot of people there. And Laura and I we networked with a lot of people and learned a lot, so.
Good. Move to adjourn.
Support. Have a motion and support, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries.